What's up, everybody? This is Jason back, and I got my little assistant here. Say hi,
Oh,
Scott.
hi.
This is Scott. All right, so
I've appeared in 2 videos.
he's appeared in 2 videos. Uh, Making money with rental properties. I'm gonna give you 10 of the features that you need to look out for, to make sure your property is profitable. Number one is the neighborhood.
Why is the neighborhood important?
Neighborhood is important because if you're in a shady neighborhood, people don't want to be there. But we'll get to that in a minute. But let's say you're in a neighborhood with a lot of colleges, universities around, then you may have a problem renting your property out during the summer months when school's out because everybody's going back home or whatever reason. And just things to think about, things to look out for. Number two, property taxes.
How do the taxes affect the house?
Well, if your property taxes are, incredibly high, then, it's going to eat into your cash flow. And what you don't want to do is have to pay a lot of property taxes. So, at the same time, you don't want them to have incredibly cheap property taxes because then you're, in a kind of a cheaper neighborhood. So there may be more potential for a profit in a higher property tax area. You can kind of write the property tax off of the taxable income from the rental property. So, it's kind of, this or that, you know how it is. Number three, schools.
Why is school important?
Well, if you're renting family-sized houses, then you're going to want, a good school district, because people are going to have families in them. They want their kids to have a good school system. So that's something to look out for when you're purchasing. Now, in our situation with
COVID-19.
Not COVID-19. In our situation with 2 of our rentals, we've got a really good elementary school, and then the kids get shipped off to another town with a kind of a crappy middle school and kind of a crappy high school. But figure if I can get 6 years of one family staying in there to get into that really good elementary school, and then they move out and another one goes in for 6 years, 6 years ain't too bad. Crime rate.
Why is crime rate important?
Well, if you have a high crime rate, then good tenants are not going to want to move in there. And if you're wondering how to check on the crime rate, when you're looking to buy your property, go to Realtor.com, and they'll have a map down there, and you can click on crime and see the crime rate for the area. They have them marked off in different shades of orange. And the darker the orange, I think the higher the crime rate is. It might even go into red or something like that. I'm not real sure. It's been a while since I looked into anything in a high crime rate, but that's a good way to check on them. The job market.
Why is the job market?
Well, I mean, if your tenants don't have jobs, then they're not going to pay the rent. And if it's a high job market, then there's going to be a lot of people coming in for those jobs. People might not have a place to stay, might not have any intention on buying a house there. So, yeah, you want a good job market. Amenities.
What's important in amenities?
Amenities, that's like parks, public transportation, gyms, food, restaurants and stuff. These are things that'll, keep people happy, theaters, anything like that that's in the area that's going to attract more people to the area. That might increase the value of your property, which will in turn increase the amount of rent you can get for it. Future development.
What's important in future development?
Well, I mean, that could go back into more amenities. They could be putting more parks and more, public transportation systems and more, let's see, it'd be more jobs, be anything. So, I mean, you want to check into that and make sure, that there is some plan for future development. You can figure this out by contacting your local municipality, you know the word, department, municipality, I got it. So check with them, see if there's any plans on any future development. Number of listings and vacancies.
What's important of numbers of listings and vacancies?
Well, if you have a bunch of vacancies in the area and, well, first off, it's just a competition going on there. Everybody's going to try to have a cheaper rent. You don't want to have a house that has cheap rent. You want to have a decent amount of rent. The cheaper the rent, the cheaper the tenant. So you want to have a high amount of rental income. But if you're having to compete with other rentals, then there's going to be a problem. On top of that, if there's a lot of vacancies in the area, that could be a sign of decline of that area. You know, it could be a town that's dying. Nobody wants to own something in a town that's dying because, you know, the value of the house is going to slowly drop. And like I said, the value of the rent's going to slowly drop. Let's see. Average rents.
What's important on the average rents?
Well, if you can keep up with the average rent, that's a good thing because that's how you run your numbers on your properties. You want to know, you know, what is my expenses on this property versus, you know, here's my expenses. This is how much rent I'm getting. The difference between there is how much you're cash flowing. You want your cash flow to be high, even if everything else is, you know, if your expenses drop and your rent drops at the same rate, then your cash flow will stay the same. But, you know, you want to know what those average rents are just so you can make those comparisons. Natural disasters.
What's important on natural disasters?
Well, natural disasters, if there's a lot in an area, it will run your insurance up, which is going to eat into your cash flow. So kind of keep an eye out on that and make sure you're not in a flood zone, not a lot of earthquakes if you can avoid such things, hurricanes, tornadoes, all those things. Got to kind of weigh the pros and the cons, you know. I mean, if you're in Los Angeles County and, you know, the rents are, I'm pretty sure, high out there, then it may be worth it. But, you know, you got to have that whole, you just make sure your cash flowing is all I'm saying. All right, anyway, I'm Jason. This is Scott. This is Diddy, who showed up too late to be in the video. Like, subscribe, share, and we'll be getting back to you soon.